What you doing?
Hey, just finishing this claim to get Dave back on the road.
Nice. I wonder what Dave's doing.
You do your thing. We've got you covered.
Hey, is the power off on this?
I don't know, just take it off.
Safety violation, unsafe work conditions.
In the construction trades unions, safety is our highest priority, and we train you to recognize and speak out on unsafe working conditions so that everyone arrives and goes home safely. Learn about careers in construction at georgiaconstructioncareers.com.
Good afternoon and welcome to the 348th episode of the Alfa Insurance Georgia Pep Sports Drive for the GHSA State Title. Today we're going to talk about the Gymnastics State Championships that were this past weekend. North Oconee won their 5th straight and Buford barely edged North Forsyth for their 2nd. Very impressive considering they lost the Player of the Year, Marissa Alston. We'll also talk about the first round baseball pairings that are going to get underway starting, I believe, on Wednesday, the 25th. The first round, most of the game threes will also be the 26th of this week. Some great matchups, and the season concluded this weekend. And we'll also talk about the soccer Sweet 16 and maybe get into some lacrosse and everything else spring sports. But before we get started, I thought this was an interesting story because we obviously have our high school Hall of Fames. We have the Lakeside Hall of Fame at Lakeside DeKalb. We also have the Georgia High School Football Hall of Fame in October. But Tyler Jones, we know him now as Cambridge's head coach. We knew him previously as Walton's offensive coordinator. He's now at the Cambridge Bears, but he got inducted over the weekend into the social circle. It all got started for him. The Cambridge Athletics Twitter, they're giving him a shout out. Congrats, Coach Jones. He was inducted into the Social Circle Athletic Hall of Fame this weekend. Coach Jones said, "I'm extremely honored and thankful to be inducted into the Social Circle Athletic Hall of Fame. It is such a privilege to be recognized in my hometown where it all started. Thank you, Redskins, for an amazing night." And so I have his plaque and thought it would be interesting to look back, see how he got into the Hall of Fame, and maybe give you a little extra knowledge about Coach Jones when you watch him on the sideline at Cambridge this year. Tyler Jones graduated from Social Circle in 2007. During his year, he played football, basketball, and baseball. His accolades include being the scholar athlete all 4 years and a varsity letterman in all 3 sports. In football, Tyler was the MVP his senior year and was awarded numerous scholarships, including the Chick-fil-A Bowl Scholar Athlete and the National Football Foundation and College Hall of Fame Georgia Scholar Athlete scholarships. He was the leading scorer in basketball his junior and senior years. He was a team MVP his senior year, and he was a 2-time second-team All-Region member. In baseball, Tyler was a member of the Elite 8 team in 2006. He holds the Social Circle high school record for stolen bases, and he is 4th all-time in the state of Georgia for most career stolen bases. That was an honor for him to get into the Social Circle Hall of Fame this weekend, so thought you'd want that insight. And it was also a good weekend for his protege at Walton, quarterback Jeremy Hecklinski, who is now at Wake Forest. He had a really strong showing in the spring game. He was 9-13 to start things off with 166 yards and 3 touchdowns, absolutely lighting it up. And Coach Jones said, "Go ahead, ask me if this is surprising. Not at all. Jeremy Hecklinski equals him." So that's good to see Hecklinski shake off the state championship where he threw I believe 3 interceptions. Also shaking off a concussion in the, I think it's called the Under Armour or National Guard All-American game. So he had a rough kind of exit winning Player of the Year but he's at his new home at Wake Forest, lighting it up, and his OC that helped him take things next level his junior and senior year is now in the Hall of Fame. And if you don't know about Hecklinski, he played a significant amount as a freshman, shared back after that. But then Zach Rosman was the second one he shared 50-50 with. And so Tyler Jones came over Jeremy's junior season. And that's when he obviously started to blow up, became a household name, beat Buford. It was brilliant play calling. Then that entire offense not only came back last year, but added new pieces. Hecklinski played outstanding. And then obviously Coach Jones was able to implement those new pieces, guys like Jude Cascon and also Jordan Bam Bride. But that's it for starting things off. Let's get into the gymnastics really quick. So North Oconee, they are the new dynasty of gymnastics. That dynasty began when they split the classifications for cheerleading, for gymnastics, which was a fairly new sport in terms of GHSA. Teams have had gymnastics. It's not like gymnastics got invented a few years ago. It's been a staple, but at the high school level. And so, let's look at this. I want to see when they split. All right, so it was only one classification up until 2018, and then North Oconee won once they split, and North Oconee no longer had to go up against the West Forsyth, the Bufords, and the upper classification powerhouses, and they've won every single title since. The only one they didn't win was 2020 when the season obviously got canceled. So North Oconee has won every single Class A through 5A championship. I believe those classifications will remain the same next year. Obviously, gymnastics is growing, so they're still going to not be in the highest classification, but that might end up splitting. Needless to say, North Oconee, they've had everyone else's numbers. They did outstanding this season. When you look at the overall team rankings, the only team in the state that scored higher than them on any average heading into the state tournament was Buford. And then Buford has won 2022, 2023, and then obviously this year too. And previously they won 3 straight in 2014 through 2016. And I remember going to all 3 of those and seeing how they dominated. The thing about Buford, I said it last week, they have always dominated the floor events. Maybe they're going to be less than exceptional at like the beams, but they usually have 1 or 2 gymnasts making the podium on each event. So we have the recap up at scoreatl.com. Let's get into it right now. All right, budding dynasties are still alive after Buford and North Oconee successfully defended their championships Friday at Buford. This is from Tyler N. Smith, Buford's coach, who says, "It's incredible for the girls, especially because my team does not have a lot of club gymnasts. We have a few, but the core of my team is high school only girls." The victory in the Class 6 to 7A finals marked Buford's 6th overall, 3rd consecutive, while North Oconee's victory was the team's 5th straight. Buford finished atop the 6A, 7A team standings with a 110.25 ahead of North Forsyth 110.025. West Forsyth 106.95, and then Carrollton, who finished runner-up last year, finished 4th with 106.575. And when we had Carrollton's coach on the show a week ago today, she was talking about the team rankings they had that had averaged out, and she said exactly that. She said, we've scored as low as 106 in some events, but we scored as high as 111 at others. That's why they, I believe, had like a 108. And so it looks like Carrollton scored a little below what their rankings were heading into the finals. North Oconee led the Class A through 5A team standings with 112.65 points, and then Bremen, that is the school, it's Class 2A, Class 3A school that's close to Carrollton High School, and they're the ones that have, because of the success of Carrollton, they've launched their program and shared a lot of meets with Carrollton, and they had one of their best finishes, best seasons ever, coming in second place with 109.575, in fact, outscoring Carrollton. Northgate had 107.55, and then Cambridge finished fourth. North Oconee's coach said, "There's talent for sure, especially when there are some club gyms in our backyard, but the alumni of our schools have laid the groundwork for both our programs, and that makes it easier." A core group of juniors has been paramount for Buford in the pursuit of 4 consecutive titles. As freshmen, the girls won and have done so in the ensuing seasons. So they're pointing out right now, the start of this 3 straight began when all these girls in the core were freshmen. So that was the big pressure year. They got it done, and they continue to come up clutch. Obviously, this narrow, less than 1 point victory over North Forsyth was definitely nerve-wracking. All right, those girls have gone 3 years without losing, Coach Smith said, and they were bound and determined to make it a 4th. They are Johanna Sasser, Kendall Rockwell, Vida Barhadwaj, and Bella Ray Newby. A lot they do for me is self-motivation. There's not a lot I have to do to get them going. I might have to pivot their thinking a little bit, especially after our beam session today. I called it. Buford always struggles on the beam. All right. In the balance beam, it's said that falls are contagious, like a shank on the golf course. It's a happening teams wish to avoid, but for the now 3-time defending champions, the team weathered the dreaded occurrence, and not once or twice, 4 times. We've never been there where all 4 went up and all 4 fell. She said it was very important for us to not take the bad vibes of the floor routine, and those girls led the charge. So I'm going to pull up real quick to see the order of the beam. Let's see. Okay, so this was, I guess this was beneficial for Buford. The beam was their 3rd event, so they had a disastrous beam. 4 girls, all 4 fell, and then the floor was their finisher, and that is the strength. So it looks like they were able to rebound. Sometimes when the beam's your last one, that can be even more nerve-wracking. And also imagine if they started with that event and started poorly. But in the 3rd spot, looks like they were able to finish with their strongest event. All right. Both Buford and North Oconee have had streaky histories in this championships. The Wolves won the team's first 3 from 2014 to 2016, while North Oconee won its first in 2019 and hasn't lost since. For South Central's, Katie Andrews won the all-around championship after finishing atop the bars and 4 with a runner-up finish in the beam. Oconee County gymnast Hannah Akoi won the Class 1A through 5A all-around with a 1st place in the beam, a 2nd place in the bars, and 3rd place on the floor. So we'll go over just a couple more of these results because I saw there were some total perfect scores. Here we go. All right, in the all-around, Kendall New, that's a girl we talked about last week. She actually finished runner-up last year to Marissa Alston, and she finished with a 38.525. The winning score by Katie Andrews, 38.850. So looks like .325. And then let's see if Kendall New placed first in any individual event. She did not. She placed 2nd in the floor, 3rd in the bars, and 4th in the vault. And then I thought I saw a perfect score. Nope, just Katie Andrews. She had a 9.90 in the vault, and then Manny Fafana had a 10.0 in the vault. So that is the only 10 perfect 10 I saw. So that's big for her. And she finished third in the all-around. And then let's pull up the A through 5A real quick. Oh, they don't have it yet. I can find it. Just give me a sec. Alright, I was looking at this last night. I know I can find it. Alright, well, I'll look it up later. I'll have it on Wednesday, but I remember seeing it, so it's never come in like this, but it was basically the official results were someone taking a photo of a piece of paper and tweeting it out. I just can't find it right now, but that's it for the results. Congrats to Buford, congrats to North Oconee. They will obviously be the team to beat once again next year. They were super young, both of them, junior led, and it's just been an ongoing dynasty. And it's funny because I always compare North Oconee to Buford. I call them the next Buford with how they're growing and how successful they are at all their different sports. It's pretty incredible. All right, so let's get into these baseball pairings real quick before we hit our first break. All right, so let's look at these Class 7A pairings real quick. So the Grayson Rams did a very good job at coming up clutch at the end and salvaging a number 3 seed. It's not ideal. They're going to have to go on the road, but this was a team that started out the season ranked in the top 10, got swept by Parkview and Brookwood. So now they're at the bottom of the region, and they had to come up clutch against Newton. They had to come up clutch against South Gwinnett, and more importantly, the Archer Series. The thing about Newton stole a game against Brookwood and Parkview. They beat Parkview for the first time in school history this season, and then the win over Brookwood was huge. So Grayson had to handle business against Archer and the Newtons and South Gwinnetts to even save its season and make the playoffs. They did that, and they did it exceptionally well. So they earned a 3 seed. And now they're going to play Richmond Hill. That is a tough road trip, but they avoid playing Lowndes. And let's see who got the number 2 seed. Camden County got the 4 out of that region. Lowndes got the 1, obviously, and Colquitt got the 3. So they're going to play Richmond Hill. It's still a tough matchup, but they avoid. If they would have gotten the 4 seed, they would have had Lowndes in the first round, and good luck with that. All right, another interesting push at the end of the season was East Coweta. They soared past Westlake and then Carrollton, who actually was probably 2 games ahead of them until they faced this past week. East Coweta won the series. Now they're the number 1 seed. They're going to square off with Marietta, who did a great job late. I think they actually had a de facto play-in series to even make the playoffs out of that loaded Region 3. North Paulding ended up getting the number 2 seed. Harrison got the number 3, and then Hillgrove surpassed them all and ended up being the top team out of Region 3. Every single one of those 4 that I mentioned has been ranked during this season. All right, you're going to have Norcross playing Forsyth Central. That should be an intriguing matchup. Norcross got the number 3 seed behind North Gwinnett, and then Peachtree Ridge. Peachtree Ridge beat Norcross in that head-to-head series last week, was able to edge them by a game in the final standings, and then Forsyth Central was leading that really deep Region 6 that I always talked about. South Forsyth ended up winning it. West Forsyth got the 3 seed. Lambert fell all the way to the 4, and then looks like Milton ended up missing out of the playoffs. So it's going to be Norcross at Forsyth Central. Then you're going to have Mountain View at Walton. Walton ended up getting that number 1 seed. They had pretty average start to the season where they were 8-5, but they finished extremely strong, dominated the region. And I was talking to Kell players that faced them, and Kell's had a really difficult schedule. They played Etowah, they played a bunch of teams. He said he felt like Walton was the most talented, and if you look at all 20 of their games, I think it's unique to any team in 7A right now that's in that top 10. Rarely do they get held below 5 runs. They are able to play very smart baseball. They don't strand runners. They're very scrappy, very cerebral, and very difficult to beat. But let's stop there. That's the top left corner of the 7A bracket. Let's take a quick break. Thank our sponsors. We'll be back on the other side.
Hey, does it matter if this leaks?
It don't matter to me. Can't see it from my house.
Illegal use of hands, improper training.
GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com has 14 different highly skilled trades with tuition-free training in our certified apprenticeship programs to train you the right way. Find your career at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
All right, welcome back. So let's get to the bottom left of this 7A bracket. Once again, these are going to get started on the 25th, but you're going to have number 3 seed Colquitt County at Brookwood. It seems like these teams face in the first round of every single sport. I've seen it in football all the time. I'm pretty sure it's happened last year in baseball, but once again, Colquitt's going to have to come all the way up to Brookwood. Should be a very interesting season, and when you look at these series, the things that makes it very exciting, I guess, is the fact that Colquitt can either come up to Brookwood and leave that night with the win, or if this thing splits, they're going to have to find out other travel arrangements. It is a big deal if these things get to a game 3, especially a long road trip like that. All right, you're going to have number 4 seed Westlake at Hillgrove, number 3 seed West Forsyth at Peachtree Ridge. West Forsyth has beaten every team in this region, but it did not win a single 3-game series in 2 games. They've gone to 3 games every single time this season. So we'll see if Peachtree Ridge can avoid dropping one in the first initial doubleheader. All right, Kennesaw Mountain, the number 4 seed at Buford. Buford has been very strong as well. They're one of the few teams that has beaten Parkview this season. All right, Cherokee at Mill Creek. Mill Creek actually entered the top 10 last week and bumped out Cherokee. So that could be a game that makes my rankings look bad if Cherokee's able to come away with the victory. But Mill Creek's just been really strong lately. They, of course, are the number 2 seed behind Buford. And they played every single game close. They never get blown out. All right, number 4 seed Lambert at number 1 seed North Gwinnett. That is an incredible matchup. Lambert's probably the most difficult number 4 seed in this bracket. At one point, I think they had won 12 straight. And the reason those the reason that region was in such disarray was because every single one of the teams ended up beating the other ones multiple times. You also had Denmark in there and Milton. So Lambert finished 8-7 in the region. West Forsyth was 8-7. Forsyth got the 2, and then South Forsyth was 10-5. But Lambert closed out the season on a 2-game losing streak. They actually were number 1 in the region heading into it because they beat Milton, Forsyth Central, and Denmark consecutively. They also had a big win over number 1 seed Hillgrove, but then they lost to South Forsyth by 1 and then Forsyth Central by 2. So now they've got to go up against North Gwinnett. That should be a very difficult game for them and definitely one of the tougher first-round matchups. All right, Campbell at North Paulding. I know for a fact those teams have already faced this season. Should be an interesting rematch. You got Camden County at defending runner-up. I guess you don't say defending runner-up, but last year's runner-up, last year's finalist, Parkview. Camden is going to travel to Parkview. Parkview is number 1 in the poll. All right, Decula at North Cobb, Duluth at South Forsyth, Harrison at Carrollton. That should be a quality top 10 level matchup. And then Newton is going to have to face Lowndes. Newton, I think, just making the playoffs out of that region that, as we mentioned, has Parkview, Brookwood, Archer, Grayson, South Gwinnett. It's a big opportunity. I think this is probably Newton's first playoff appearance in quite some time. I can't remember it looking back to at least 2012. All right, let's look at 6A real quick. All right, so the 6A bracket actually has the starting times of the games, so that's going to be very helpful. But you got North Atlanta against Houston County. That is a rematch of this year's football playoffs, and Houston County is the defending state champs. They ended up getting the number 2 seed, which was very surprising because they actually beat Tift County 2-1, 2 games to 1 in the 3-game series, but they had one other loss within the region, and that ended up giving the top seed to Tift County. So despite Houston County beating Tift County, despite them being number 1 in every poll, Tift is able to pass them. Tift has also had a phenomenal season, but North Atlanta is going to have to go to Houston County. You're going to have Lassiter, number 3 Lassiter, at number 2 seed River Ridge. Phenomenal top 10 matchup right there. River Ridge has played really strong late in the season. They started out, had some quality top 10 wins, struggled midway through the season, but they're playing much better at the right time. That record reflects that. Thomas County Central is going to go to St. Pius. You got Allatoona at Pope. Those teams should be pretty familiar with each other. And then you got East Paulding at Appalachia on the other side. North Forsyth hosting Alexander. Sequoia at Blessed Trinity. Glen Academy at Rockdale County. Lee County at Marist. Habersham at South Paulding. Roswell and Etowah. Mundy's Mill, Brunswick. And then Dunwoody at Tift County, the top seed. Let's look at 5A real quick. We'll pick up some intriguing matchups. So, speaking of football rematches, you got Cass and Kell squaring off in the first round of the 5A baseball. You got Coffee and Chambly. Cambridge is going to Woodland Cartersville. On the other side, let's see, Chattahoochee at number 1 seed Cartersville. Flowery Branch at Jackson, Atlanta. Dalton at GAC. And then Tucker at Ware County. Ware County ended up getting the number 1 seed in Region 1. And I think they have been very strong. They had great wins over Coffee, in addition to Statesboro and Greenbrier. Yeah, that's the other team in that Region 1. All right, so let's look at 4A real quick. 4A has been, in my opinion, the hardest to rank all season long outside of Stars Mill. It's because you had this crazy Region 8 where Seconder had the best record, but they didn't have to play the top teams in Region 8 because of the 10-team region. So, yeah, they did get a key victory over East Forsyth and North Oconee, but they didn't have to play a full series, and they ended up being at the top. So they actually got the number 2 seed out of Region 8, and that was because, I'm looking for right now, North Oconee. Let's find Region 8. Okay, Cherokee Bluff. Yeah, Cherokee Bluff got the number 1 seed. North Oconee got the number 3. Walnut Grove got the number 4, and Seconder got the number 2. So East Forsyth missed out. They were in the top 10 all season long. Prep Baseball Report actually, I think, had them at number 6 heading into last week. So they don't even make the playoffs. That's how deep that region was. You also have, let's look at couple key matchups real quick. Pace Academy at Seconder. Pace Academy wasn't ranked all season long. Last week, Prep Baseball Report, Georgia Dugout, they had Pace up at number 6. No, they actually had them at number 5. I went and looked on the justification because you can see it says not ranked before. I don't know why they, I don't know if they returned a starting pitcher or something, but there was not really a key win that I saw that would put them that high. But they're going to play Seconder in the first round. Should be a tough matchup. Maybe Pace will prove me wrong. All right, Northwest Whitfield at Westminster. Southeast Bullock against Perry. Perry's had one of their best seasons in school history. They ended up getting the number 2 seed out of Region 2, and they are not going to want to come out slow. They're going to want to get a sweep and really try to have a special into this spring season. West Lawrence got the number 1 seed out of Region 2. You're going to have Howard at Wayne County, Bainbridge at LaGrange. Cherokee Bluff's going to host Woodland Stockbridge, and then North Oconee, the defending champs, are going to Stockbridge, and then you got number 1 ranked Stars Mill hosting Hardaway. Baldwin at Benedictine, and then Troop, a number 3 seed against Shaw. I think this bracket is going to have a ton of upsets, and that's just because there are a lot of capable teams, and I think you'll see more turnover in Class 4 than any other one. Class 3A, a couple matchups to point out. All right, Wesleyan against Gordon Lee, top 10 showdown right there. You've got Bremen and Dawson County. Dawson County's gone up really high in the poll, I think to number 5. Let's see, Thomasville's hosting Cross Creek. You got Gilmer against Ringgold. Doherty at number 1 ranked Harlem. Peach County at Savannah Country Day, and then Cedar Grove against Hebron Christian. So rematch of last year's football playoffs. And then there is a team I want to talk about real quick. Fellowship Christian and Redan in Class 2A. Big time top 10 matchup. But it is. One sec. Okay, Jeff Davis. Jeff Davis out of Region 1 in Class 2A. If you look at their season, I've never seen anything like it. They started the year 0-7, and now they are 19-7. So they've won 19 straight games, including a win over Lowndes. That was who they lost to in their season opener. They lost. This is their 0-7 start. They lose to Lowndes. They avenged that during the 19-game win streak. They lost by 1 run to Thomas County Central, 1 run to Wayne County, 1 run to Appling County. They lost by 2 runs to number 1 ranked Harlem, and then lost by 1 run to Appling County. Every single one of those losses by 1 run, or in the case of Harlem, 2, and then 19 straight wins heading into the playoffs. Absolutely incredible, and I have them, I think, sitting at number 4. I think that is the team to watch. Will they ride this win streak all the way to the finals? In Class 2A, none of those losses I mentioned have come within Class 2A, so you could actually say they're undefeated within the class. I think Jeff Davis is definitely the team to watch in 2A outside of your North Cobb Christians and Mount Perrins. All right, so let's look real quick at the soccer Sweet 16. All right, so on the girls' side, this was from this last week. It says Huey and Joyner Pace Lassiter past River Ridge in the first round. River Ridge scored in the first 11 minutes of Thursday's first round playoff game, but from that point it was all Lassiter. Ashlyn Huey and Peyton Joyner each scored 2 goals to lead the Trojans to a 4-1 victory. Lassiter is now 11-4-1. They'll travel to Alexander in the second round. That will be on April 25th. The teams traded promising offensive sequences in the opening minutes, and Allie Craig put River Ridge ahead 1-0 at the 29:52 mark. However, the Trojans dominated possession of time and took the lead with 12:54 remaining in the opening half. River Ridge punched us in the gut early, getting up 1-0, said Robbie Galvin. We knew that this was going to be a battle, and I don't think the score does this game justice. All right, let's conclude real quick, and then we'll get into the brackets. I'm very happy with how we responded and came back. We took control of the game, and we had it away at the end. Lassiter had a goal taken away from them at the 25-minute mark because of an offside. The Trojans responded 3 minutes later as Huey found the back of the net, and 10 minutes later Joyner gave them their first lead of the match, 2-1. Lassiter's ball movement and physicality stood out during the game, with entry passes breaking down a River Ridge defense that had allowed just 1.1 goals per game. Pope Skurlock had an early shot on goal in the second half, but sent it mere inches over the net. Joyner countered at the 32-minute mark, and from point-blank range, she pushed the ball past Knights goalkeeper Brooke Stow to extend the lead to 3-1. Huey iced the game and the win with a breakaway goal with 3:56 left. Lassiter's ball control was a factor late as River Ridge struggled to piece together offensive stretches. And that's the type of program that they are. You have to withstand that pressure, and you can't play loose. That third goal felt good, and then that fourth one finally let us breathe. Through Huey and Joyner, they accounted for all 4 of the Trojans' goals. Galvin liked what he saw from the entire front line, including Simone Dorsey and Susie Carson, among others, who disrupted the River Ridge defense. Playoff success is nothing new for Lassiter, which has 2 Class 7A championships in Class 6A, 2016 and 2022. The Trojans made the semifinals last season before falling to Marist. River Ridge has made the playoffs each of the last 3, with the most fruitful run coming in 2022 with the Final 4. So big win for Lassiter, 4 unanswered goals. So I got the Sweet 16 matchups right here. And we'll start right at 6A. So you're going to have Lassiter, the number 3 seed, going to Alexander. St. Pius and Glen Academy are going to square off. I actually did a story about this in 2018 on the girls' side of soccer. It has been utterly dominated by the Atlanta metro schools. Glen Academy was trying to become the first ever non-Atlanta school to win a state title. Wrote that back in 2000. I think it was about 2018, and that was the first year that Glen Academy had ever beaten St. Pius in the regular season. So now they're both coming off big wins. Glen Academy was 10-1. St. Pius was 10-0 over Veterans. But this will be a big trip from St. Pius having to go to Glen, and there's a lot of history there because, as I said, Metro Atlanta has had South Georgia's number in soccer. In fact, the Thomasville boys a couple years ago were the first South Georgia team to ever even win a title. So let's see if Glen Academy, as the top seed, can send a powerhouse like St. Pius home. All right, you got North Atlanta against Woodward Academy. So once again, this is a loaded girls Class 6A. You got Roswell going to Habersham Central. Habersham's coming off a 10-0 win. Roswell beat Creekview 4-1. Big matchup up top right. Jackson County at number 1 seed Pope. You got Grovetown at number 1 seed Marist. Gainesville against Johns Creek. And then Lakeside Evans against Riverwood. Let's cover this 7A real quick before we hit a break. You're going to have Lowndes going to Campbell. Number 1 seed Campbell. Campbell beat Marietta 3-0 in the first round. You got Denmark at Walton. Walton last year lost in the state championship to Denmark, I believe. So that is a rematch of last year's finals. You got Camden County at Hillgrove. Hillgrove's number 1 seed. Camden came up to Archer last week and beat the Tigers 3-1. You got Milton playing host to Buford. Milton beat Norcross last week 1-0. Mill Creek is going to North Gwinnett. Should be a short trip. Exciting Gwinnett showdown right there. You got Harrison going to Brookwood. Harrison beat Carrollton 10-0. Brookwood beat Colquitt County. I told you they always play 12-0. And then you got Mountain View at West Forsyth, and then North Paulding is going to Richmond Hill. So outstanding 7A matchups. The one I like most, though, is the one with the history. It's Denmark and Walton, a rematch of last year's finals. All right, let's take one more quick break. We'll come back on the other side and talk about these boys' Sweet 16 matchups.
Dang, where you get this car?
You need to join the union.
The union?
Absolutely. You can get 10 of these.
Union construction workers earn the highest wages with the best benefits and the most protection in the construction industry. Find your career in construction. Go to GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com and start your future today.
All right, welcome back. So on the boys' side, I've already set the stage for it, but this last week, Colquitt County beat Brookwood 1-0. The Colquitt County number 1 seed boys beat Brookwood to advance to the second round. They're going to play Pebblebrook after they beat Marietta 3-2. You're going to have number 4 seed North Gwinnett. They beat a very good South Forsyth team, number 1 seed, and I believe a top 10 team, 3-2. Big number 4 seed upset. They're now going to Kennesaw Mountain in the second round. Grayson's team has been outstanding. Grayson's having one of their best school years, I think, probably in Rams history. They obviously won both basketball state titles for the first time in school history. And, I mean, throughout the board, they're just dominating. They beat Lowndes in the first round 11-1. Now they're going to face East Coweta, number 3 seed, after their 2-1 win over Harrison. Osborne, one of the only games we saw that was determined in PKs. They beat Mill Creek 4-3 on penalty kicks. They're now going to number 1 seed Discovery. Then you're going on the left side of the bracket, South Gwinnett at Campbell. Lambert against Walton, be a big time matchup. Archer and Carrollton, and then Milton and Collins Hill. That's the boys 7A. 8 matchups to watch for on Wednesday. I believe that's Wednesday. One sec. No, they're actually, yeah. 7A is going to be on the 24th. 6A is going to be on the 26th. All right, so St. Pius and Glen Academy. Same situation for boys and girls. Both are going to see St. Pius going on the road to Glen Academy. One sec. All right, so Glen Academy is the number 1 seed in both. On the boys' side, they are coming off a 7-0 win over Rockdale. St. Pius went on the road last week and beat Thomas County Central 1-0. All right, Lassiter advanced past Sequoia 2-1. They're now going to visit South Paulding in the Sweet 16. You're going to have Marist Woodward Academy. They're playing on the girls' side also. Sprayberry and Habersham Central, number 1 seed Habersham will square off. On the right side, you got North Forsyth against Johns Creek, Grovetown against North Atlanta, Gainesville River Ridge, and then South Effingham Riverwood. In Class 5A, which I think is the most intriguing in boys soccer. It's got the most powerhouses, the highest nationally ranked team with McIntosh, the most teams that have won multiple state titles, and I think it's even more competitive now because all those private schools we mentioned, the St. Pius and Marist, they now have left that classification, so it's just the best public high schools in the state are all situated in this region. think you can definitely make that argument. All right, you're going to have number 1 seed Midtown hosting Centennial. Centennial is coming off a 6-0 win over Calhoun in the first round. You're going to have Cross Keys. We talked to their coach and their players last week. They're going to McIntosh. They've been getting ready for this matchup. Plenty of time to rest over a week. They have never beaten McIntosh, but they've also lost, I think he said, their last 5 matches to McIntosh by just 1 goal. This season, their defense has been phenomenal. They've outscored opponents 89 to 7. Their only loss of the season in the region was to Tucker, the number 1 seed. Tucker's coming off a 6-1 win over Coffee. They lost that one in overtime. Their coach likes their conditioning. He really likes, they have Diaz. He is the prolific scorer. They've had 13, no, I think they're 12-2-1. So they've had 15 matches this season. Diaz has scored 20 goals. They love feeding him the ball, but it's not just one guy. They have 6 different players that have 4 or more assists. And so it's all about setting him up, countering, playing great defense. I think it's also has the potential to be a high-scoring game with McIntosh. So definitely in boys Class 5A, that is the match to watch. McIntosh is the highest-rated team in the country out of Georgia. Dalton is going to Clark Central. Be another very hostile environment. Great 5A matchup right there. You got Chapel Hill and Cass. Northgate at number 1 seed Tucker. Heritage Conyers at Chattahoochee, and then Harris County at Decatur. All those matches are going to be incredibly exciting in 5A, and definitely the potential to bust up the bracket. All right, in Class 4A, LaGrange is going to host Southeast Bullock, despite it being the number 3 seed. Southeast Bullock's number 4 seed. They advance past West Lawrence. You got Northwest Whitfield and Cedar Shoals, Whitewater against Islands, Druid Hills against Powerhouse Johnson Gainesville. Johnson Gainesville is coming off a 2-1 win over Stockbridge in the first round, so a little uncharacteristic for them. They are usually dominant. East Forsyth against Holy Innocents, Benedictine against Stars Mill, Lovett against Westminster, and then Wayne County against Bainbridge. And this is the Class 4A. These games will be on the 26th, so more matchups to look forward to. So that coverage will start up this week. We'll have it all on scoreatl.com. Links to the individual brackets, score updates, and of course, we'll be covering it on our shows, our blogs, and the rankings. I'll have the pre-playoff baseball rankings out today, and I'll also have a track and field blog. All right, so this is from last week. We did not get to cover it. One sec. All right, so this was slow pitch softball. This was from Max. I believe this was on April 18th. Creekview wins its first state title since 2019 at the GHSA Slow Pitch Softball State Championships. So fast pitch is in the fall, and then slow pitch is in the spring. Creekview was crowned as champions after defeating Jefferson 14-3 in a decisive third game of the championship series at Twin Creeks in Woodstock after 2 days of action in the GHSA Slow Pitch Championships. Saying we are state champions is an amazing feeling. These girls worked extremely hard, came together as a unit, and fought through adversity for each other, said Creekview's head coach Jen Maloney. On the way to its second state title in program history, Creekview went 4-1 in the double elimination tournament with a 14-3 win over Elbert County in the first round, 5-4 over River Ridge in the second, and an 11-1 win over Richmond Hill in the semifinal before the championship match with Jefferson, a program trying for its second state title and first since 2000. I was not part of the 2019 championship team, so I can only talk from what I know, Maloney said. The 2019 championship was an extremely talented group. They were upperclassmen heavy, so they had a lot of experience under their belt. In the first two matchups, Thursday against Jefferson, Creekview was defeated 11-1 in extra innings as the Dragons forced a winner-take-all game against the Grizzlies. Creekview was able to defeat Jefferson in the final game of the season, winning by commanding 11 runs to claim the title. Jefferson lost its first-round matchup to Richmond Hill 12-11, but was able to prevail in the losers bracket, winning 5 straight games to give the Dragons a shot at the championship before the loss in the final game to the Grizzlies. In last year's tournament, Creekview was defeated 8-5 in the first round by Dodge County and lost the game in the losers bracket 11-7 to Sequoia. The Grizzlies were able to avenge their 0-2 record in last year's tournament with a state title this year. Pitcher Caitlin Bleslath had a 3.9 ERA through the tournament. Emily Pettit had a 600 batting average with 2 doubles, 3 triples, 1 home run, and a whopping 14 RBIs. Mel Brundage had a 588 average with 10 hits, 3 doubles, and then Sydney Neff had a 533 batting average. This group is young but very talented. Their team chemistry is unmatched, said Maloney. They stay focused and brought it every game. Winning a championship helps to set the expectations for future teams while allowing everyone to gain experience and confidence that will take them into future seasons. So it's a big deal for Creekview getting that slow pitch state title, and that is unlike the fast pitch. They just give out one of those, so that's a special group of girls that was able to come through clutch. All right, let's look at the lacrosse first round pairings real quick. This will start Tuesday and Wednesday. So this is the week where it is all gonna get going in terms of these brackets, and then once we get to the championships, it's usually I think it goes soccer first, lacrosse second, and then track and field, then baseball, but it will be one after another. Alright, I'm going to pull up not only the brackets, I'm going to get Najee's pre-playoff brackets just to highlight these top 10 ones. Alright, so these were released on last Tuesday, I believe. Start in Class 7A. So the way lacrosse works, there's not 8 regions, there's 4 areas, and so 6 teams make it from each area, and the top 2 seeds get a bye in the first round. They also don't always go by overall region record. They do a power ranking system. That is something that started just a few years ago. So the teams that get byes in Class 7A boys: Hillgrove, North Paulding, Buford, Mountain View, Walton, Harrison, Marietta, Brookwood, and Lambert. Marietta and Brookwood both got the bye, and they will actually play each other in the first round. So that's in the second round. So that's the only matchup that's set at this point. The rest will obviously await the winners of this week. So Hillgrove, after getting the bye, they will play the winner of Grayson and West Forsyth. West Forsyth is the defending state champs. This year they're the 3rd ranked team out of Area 4. They definitely were senior led last year, but obviously making them run all the way to the state finals, competing in that ultra talented region or area that not only includes Lambert. Keep in mind Area 4 also has Buford in it. So we could see Area 4 complete a sweep in the first round. So don't let that number 3 fool you. You got currently in Najee's poll, Lambert, last year's runner-up, they are number 2. Buford is number 3. West Forsyth is number 5. So 3 teams out of that region 4 in the top 5. All right, you got North Paulding. They are undefeated, 17-0. They're awaiting the winner of North Cobb and Carrollton. You're going to have Campbell and East Coweta. The winner will play Buford. Buford is 16-1. I think their only loss was to Lambert this season. Let's see, you're going to have Duluth and Milton playing. The winner of that will play Mountain View. Mountain View is 10-6. They got the number 1 seed out of Area 1, so they can keep hosting if they can get past either Duluth or Milton. And they would actually host Buford if Buford wins as well because of that number 1. All right, Walton got the bye. They're going to play the winner of Parkview and Mill Creek. Mill Creek is actually number 6 in Najee's poll. Parkview's not ranked. Mill Creek is also in that area with Buford, Lambert, and the Forsyth powerhouses. All right, so then McEachern and Cherokee will square off and then play Harrison. The winner will. Marietta Brookwood's already set, and then you're going to have North Gwinnett and Decula will play to face Lambert. And that will be on starting tomorrow. All right, in Class 5A to 6A boys, you aren't going to get the byes in this classification, so way more matchups, probably not as much parity in this round. Let's see, you got number 1 ranked Roswell hosting Noonan. You got Evans and Decatur. East Paulding against Allatoona. Allatoona is ranked number 3. Some of the best results their program's ever seen, trying to win that historic first ever lacrosse title. You got Sequoia against St. Pius, North Atlanta against Creekview, Riverwood at Alpharetta, Woodward Academy at Richmond Hill, Cambridge at Union Grove, Etowah at Marist, Lanier at Lassiter, Lakeside Evans at GAC, McIntosh at BT, Dunwoody at Woodstock, Pope at North Forsyth, Midtown at Greenbrier, Centennial at Northgate. Tons of matchups in Class 5A to 6A, and then Class A to 4A does do the byes. The teams that already advanced: Wesleyan, Fellowship Christian, Stars Mill, Benedictine, Westminster, Lovett, Mount Pisgah, and Mount Perrin. The matchups to watch for. All right, you're going to have Bremen and Pace Academy. They will play Stars Mill, that's number 1 ranked team in Class A to 4A. North Cobb Christian and Holy Innocents will play to face Benedictine, who's number 4 in the poll. You got Mount Vernon and Walker. They will play Wesleyan. Wesleyan's ranked number 8 right now. And then you got Fellowship Christian, the number 2 ranked team. They're going to play the winner of Whitfield Academy and Darlington. Finally, on the right side, East Forsyth. They are number 7 in the poll. They're going to play Savannah Country Day, the number 10 team. And then the winner will face Westminster, who looks like is not actually in the latest top 10. You got Hebron Christian and Whitewater will play Lovett. Also not ranked. Whitewater is at number 5. And then you got Calvary Day playing Oconee County. The winner will play Mount Pisgah. And then Fayette County and North Oconee. The winner will play number 6, Mount Perrin Christian. So more top 10 matchups in Class A to 4A, but also a lot of teams that didn't get the bye that are in the top 10. So should see some potential upsets, but also big time matchups obviously in the next round. Those will get going tomorrow and Wednesday. And then the Sweet 16, I think because you have the bye week, it will go by pretty fast. So that's going to actually be here by April 26th. So we'll have the Elite 8 narrowed down by Friday on the boys' side. So that is it for lacrosse. All right, so go to scoreatl.com, check out the links and some of the championship coverage I mentioned earlier. Be sure to tune in tomorrow. We'll have a big episode of Underrated and Overlooked. We'll talk about some of these other spring games, a lot of recruiting news, and then I think will probably be our preview of the NFL draft. And then Najee teased it last week. There's a player that I think is going to be the absolute key to Carrollton's success this season. I think once I say it, it will make a lot of sense, but stay tuned for that. I look forward to talking and breaking it down that player. He did appear in the Georgia Elite Classic. I won't tell you what year, but you will find out tomorrow. But that is all we have for today. Thank you so much for joining us. Be sure to follow all the playoff coverage this week, and we'll see you tomorrow.
This claim to get Dave back on the road.
Nice. I wonder what Dave's doing.
You do your thing. We've got you covered.